I think you're well aware of what my answer will be on legal advice. The rules and conventions around legal advice are well established, and they are important at all times, but I think particularly when there is going to be or likely to be a court case, it's important that governments can rely on legal advice that is confidential. I'm not able to give you the date. As I understand it, there is routinely, when it is judicial review that we are talking about, there's a 3-month period in which a judicial review can be intimated. Obviously, we are looking at all angles around that and preparing all that you would expect us to be preparing and looking at all options. I mean, we're talking here about judicial review, but obviously we'll want to look at all options that are available. The order, the Section 35 order, of course, is also currently subject to negative procedure. So there is a lying period in the House of Commons for that. So the process around that is not yet completely finished. But we will update you when appropriate about the timing of the steps that we will take.
So what other options would those be?
There may be none. You would expect us to look. This is the use of a Section 35 order, as was being commented on extensively last week, is unprecedented. There is no precedent to look at in terms of how to challenge that. It's not laid down in the statute. So it may be there are no other options, but we are looking to see whether that is possible. I should say, there are two, in my view, there are two reasons for challenging this. They are related. One is, of course, to allow the legislation scrutinised, consulted on, and passed overwhelmingly by the Scottish Parliament to be given royal assent and to come into law. Secondly, though, even if you didn't think that was important, and I do think that is important, there is, I think, a real public interest now in getting some interpretation, judicial interpretation of Section 35 and what are the circumstances in which it can be used, can't be used, what tests need to be passed, what evidence does the UK government need to put forward. Because at the moment, similar to the case law that we now have around the reserve-devolved split, where there are grey areas that we can look to case law to see what side of that a particular proposition and proposed Act of Parliament might follow, and we don't have that with Section 35. So right now, as things stand, as was demonstrated last week, this is a power that can be used pretty much on the whim of the UK government anytime they have a political disagreement with the Scottish Government on a piece of legislation and they can find a spurious ground to invoke Section 35. That seems to be what can happen. The last point I would make is, it was put to me last week, but it's only been used once in 25 years, so it will be used sparingly. Our experience suggests the opposite. So the UK government breaching the Seoul Convention didn't happen in the first 20 years of the existence of the Scottish Parliament. And our experience is as soon as it happened once, since then it has happened several times. So I think once the UK government gets over that first time of using what was previously considered an unthinkable thing to do, our experience to date has been that they will do it more and more often. So I think there is a public interest in understanding more about the limitations of that.